I joined the local paper, and I was doing film reviews and then album reviews, and my mate Pete Frame used to go to Friars Club, and he'd started a magazine called Zigzag in 1969, and it was a hippie mag. You know, it was all sort of, it was a good hippie mag. I mean, it was all the good stuff like Quicksilver Messenger Service, and it was my ambition to write for Zigzag. You know, I really wanted to, you know, do this kind of music writing thing. Because I've been reading Lester Bangs.
You're right, okay. Yeah.
All those. NME was good then. It wasn't a, you know, sixth form magazine like it is now.
Is it still around the enemy now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's still as shit as it's been for the last 20 years? Yeah.
No, it's worse.
It's going to be on the internet. This.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's going to be on the internet. No, it's all right, you know. It caters to its crowd, you know. Yeah, it does all right, you know, for the kids who are going to festivals for the first time. I'm sure it's fine.
God, I had that experience this summer of watching Reading Festival on TV and looking at it, and for the first time saying to Helen, my wife, was like, fucking hell, look at the state of the kids, and they're all about 12. She was like, no, they're not, they're all in their mid-20s. Oh.
No, I mean, I thought that writing about music was an art form back then, instead of a way to make money as a hack. And I've always, I mean, I'd be writing for the Independent or something now, you know, and making loads of money for writing like 2 inches of words every week, you know, if I'd wanted to get on that corporate thing. But Zigzag was the first monthly music magazine. You know, it was kind of a, had swearing in it, and it was funny, and it cared about the music, and it was like an underground mag. Yeah. And Pete gave it to me. When punk came along, he said this reminded him of why he got into music, which was ripping up seats in the local cinema to Jerry Lee Lewis, you know, that kind of madness that Pete was Mott the Hoople's first champion. I mean, he was the first one to mention them. So he really felt that kind of, he might have been into, you know, the laid-back California sound, but he also cared about the passion of rock and roll, and then he saw that in punk. He went to interview the Damned, and they tried to cut his beard off, you know, and stuff like this. And he went to see the Clash, and they all loved him, you know, because he's still my main influence as a writer. And he gave me the mag, and my first front cover was the Slits, and that was part of the Clash thing, and it just went from there. And the next 5 years was going on the road with every punk band that was coming over.
Right, go on, right. Okay, so let's start a list then.
Go on.
You went on the road with whom?
Well, the Clash for a start.
Yeah.
I mean, that started with, and I've got to show you this. That's a CD of the Clash at Leeds University on the 27th of October, 1977. 35 years ago, is that? Yeah. No, 36 years ago.
Yeah. So, we've got to read the track list, haven't we?
Yeah, they started with London's Burning, after which Joe shouted out, "Come on, you fuckers." And then they did Complete Control. 1977, Gel Guitar Doors, Clash City Rockers, Capital Radio, Hate and War, Police and Thieves, The Prisoner, I'm So Bored with the USA, Career Opportunities, Janie Jones, Garage Land, What's My Name, White Riot.
Oh my God.
Is that still here, Leeds University?
Yeah.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
I know that is, yeah.
Yeah, the gigs aren't as good as that though, anymore.
No, I mean, no, I'm in the hall.
Yeah, the hall's still there, yeah, I think.
Chris, was Don Letts on that tour? Playing the reggae before the band came on?
No, I mean, to my recollection, Don, I may be wrong, but he DJ'd at the Roxy and everything.
Yeah, that's right. I thought he went on, somebody was playing.
No, I mean, the Clash didn't start using a DJ till 1979, and that was Barry Myers, Scratchy. And Don might have done tapes and stuff, but he was never like the tour DJ. Yeah, that was the Roxy, because he didn't have any punk records to play, because there weren't any. So he played reggae. And Don, you know, as he'll probably tell you when he comes here, you know, he invented the punky reggae party, which Bob Marley picked up on, etc. You know, but no, he never, I can't recall him.
He was filming it, wasn't he, at that time?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Don was making the punk rock movie.
That's right.
You know,
yeah.
Don, he wasn't going on tour with bands, he was working it, you know, sort of playing reggae.
Well, yeah, he was at Acme, wasn't he?
Yeah, I got these winkle pickers from him. Not these, but they're not winkle.
Not them,
No, but I got these brilliant 50s winkle pickers. They were about tenner back then. But that's the first time I met Don, and he was playing reggae in the shop. And Acme Attractions, it was down on King's Road.
Yeah.
And he was playing it there. But I mean, it's kind of like a massive family is the way because the Slits were involved. Because last night I saw Leo, who was the roadie for the Slits. He's a Dread. He's now in Dread Zone, and he was in Basement 5. But he's roadieing for the Slits, and you know, it was all this crossover. And I thought that was very, very. That sort of reached the peak with Big Audio Dynamite, Nick's band after the Clash.
Yeah. So I want to get back to this list. So there's the Clash.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is the list that you went out. You went out on tour for those 5 years. The Clash.
Well, it was longer than that.
Yeah, well, you know, give or take.
But as an editor,
Yeah, is it right? Okay.
the Ramones. We did we played here, there, with the Ramones.
Yeah.
That was in 1977. Blondie. I did a book about them last year, so I picked Blondie there.
Yeah.
And then all manner of bands that were kind of, they'd go on to, Susie and the Banshees, that was always a good one.
Yeah.
Constantly on the road covering what these bands were up to, and things were so different then. You know, it was just a different world, and there was a circuit of bands, and they were just playing places like Leeds University. You know, the Clash had a really good relationship with Leeds. We got banned from is the Dragonara Hotel still here?
Yes. Well, it's not called the Dragonara, but it's yes. I remember it as the Dragonara. It's the Hilton now, isn't it? Is it the Hilton?
Well, no, we. This is on the London Calling tour, the 16 tons jaunt, and that was where in the bar. Because 2 years earlier we'd been there, I think, and they set fire to Lester Bangs because he was covering the tour for NME.
That's right.
It was 77, and after the gigs, you'd get in the hotel bar, and there'd like 200 kids would turn up, trying to just hang around the band, get the autographs and stuff, and half of them would end up sleeping in the band's rooms because they picked this up from Mott, where you open up the back door and you let them in, and it was kind of all from Mott. You know, Mott would never let anyone not get into the gig, and if someone was stuck, they couldn't get their last train, then they'd end up on the floor.
And now bands blame health and safety for that.
Oh yeah. But I mean, we were in the bar at the Dragonara, and that's where Joe did. He turned himself into the Reverend Sandwich, and he sacrificed like this big plate of sandwiches on the table, and I don't know. Joe just went off on one. He turned into like a preacher, and he did this. We were all dancing. If you can imagine the Clash doing like Indians dancing around a totem pole, chanting "sandwich." Like, and Joe's there, you know, and he gets the knife, plunges it into the sandwich, and then everyone picks up the sandwiches, and they were hurling them. It was like an old-fashioned food fight. And then me and the aforementioned Robin, we decided at about 5 in the morning it was time to go back to our room. And we couldn't open the door. They just invented, you know those key, like cards for the doors? They just invented them. And we could never get the hang of it. And Robin's answer was to boot the door. And it went flat. But it wasn't our room. There was a naked businessman who sprang out of bed.
With his beige slacks hanging over the edge of a chair, yeah.
And, I mean, they didn't know what to do with us two, so they got him another room. And I woke up with the cleaner, with the vacuum, hoovering around. I was lying on the door that he kicked in. And we got thrown off the tour for like 3 days. We got suspended. So we hit a pub, which was just up from the Dragonara. I don't know if that's...
Scarborough Taps, yeah.
Yeah, well, we were in there.
3 days.
More or less, well, we still... Nick sneaked us onto the bus, so we still saw the next day's gig in Bridlington.
All right.
And then we returned. No, we sneaked back in, but I mean, nothing but affectionate memories of Leeds with the Clash, and you know, because it always seemed to boot off. I don't know if anyone here saw them when they played. Yes. They were good, weren't they?
No, at that point I was 12 and into Thin Lizzy.